Well, hello, everyone. This is Sebastian Traeger, Managing Director with Reliability Center, and welcome back to another episode of Reliability 4.0. As you know, we're on a mission to make the world a more reliable place through reliability engineering and through root cause analysis. And today, we're excited to be joined by Henry Chiang. Henry is with Sodexo. He's a North American technical lead. He'll tell us a little bit more about his company, but Sodexo is a company that provides facilities management and food services and globally, really. And so we are excited you're here, Henry. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Well, Henry, I love to dive in by just getting to know who I'm talking to. So if you don't mind, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? You know, if you have a family, what you like to do outside of work, just as an opportunity for folks to get to know you a little bit.
Sure thing. So my name is Henry Chiang. I have a wife and cat. We've been together for 10 years, and I've been
the wife or the cat.
Almost both.
I'm just kidding.
But
okay.
we got the cat pretty early. She's
That's good.
Really good cat and very reliable cat. Which is
great.
what I've been in. I've been in the reliability industry for close to 10 years, 6 to 10 years, depending on what function I was in. I've worked for solar installers. I've worked for lobbyists, policy researchers, nonprofits. But most recent stint has been deep diving into both industrial and manufacturing reliability engineering. I got an opportunity to work with some really talented professionals in the reliability space, and have been really excited about learning how things fail.
Excellent. Well, tell us a little bit about your role with Sodexo. I know there's some interesting components of it. Why don't you let some folks know?
Sure. So I currently work for Sodexo under their IFM model, Integrated Facility Management. So this is one of the few accounts where Sodexo actually doesn't provide food services, but in fact provides technical management expertise for the management of technical facilities. So I work on a global team as well as locally for the various sites that Sodexo maintains for Merck. The IFM model is becoming increasingly popular for what they call the yellow line model, where work is done outside, even if it's in a manufacturing space. The building envelope and yellow line drawn around manufacturing equipment is managed by the IFM provider. So I having a detailed manufacturing, industrial maintenance experience, this was a good opportunity to look at more holistic approaches to maintenance engineering and other technical aspects such as digital products, data management, as well as sustainability.
So that's all under your kind of ISM team.
Yes, IFM team. Yeah. So yeah, the IFM team manages a lot of either vendors that perform services or do self-deliver those services.
Great.
Ranging from.
So talk to us. No, sorry. Well, this will kind of dovetail into that. But like, as you think about that work, what are some of the kind of top priorities then that you work on?
Yeah. So the few top priorities is really organizing a strong and robust reliability program, and that ranges all the way from life cycle asset management, where we look at the total life cycle and risks of asset over time based on your maintenance strategy, based on operating conditions, all the way down to more specific, tangible actions such as predictive maintenance programs, precision maintenance, criticality of the stockroom components, this, that, and the other thing, and we're a strong management component that brings in the different expertise into one place and create a holistic program for clients, essentially.
That's great. So I'm fascinated that this, because just that all this can be kind of outsourced. What kind of KPIs then are you measured by when a client engages you? What are the business reasons and KPIs they hold you to, and the reasons why they're going to make that decision?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I won't go too deep to it because there are a lot of differences between accounts. There are a lot of the same reliability metrics that you would see in industry in general, such as PM compliance, PM's done on time and accurately, and the various nuances therein. And then you also have a lot of more operational metrics because the account I'm on is such a diverse provides such a diverse range of services, including community management and many other services. It isn't just a maintenance focused service, but I can speak to broadly with IFM. You have your typical financial metrics, whether there is some type of savings contract that can be typical in IFM. There can also be a certain amount of things like they call it various different things, but it comes down to service response agreements, or they call it service level agreements, service response time. Basically say that events or situations are managed within a certain time frame or with a certain degree of completion.
And are they looking for you all to bring innovation as well? Is that something they're
Absolutely.
looking for? And if so, what are some of those innovations that you're able to bring to bear?
Well, I think there's a lot of, I think the IFM model is a really growing market. The one of the large benefits that I saw, because I've actually worked at Mars before and was one of the technical leads in developing their IFM model at the time. Or one part of it, I was in the M&M's business.
Yeah.
One of the things they were looking at was the scale at which the IFM partners operate usually are much greater, and they can leverage that scale to with either component providers such as filters or belts or those type of consumables, and increase the market in terms of the ability to get deals on
power,
vendors.
basically.
Group buying power, essentially, yes.
Right.
And that on top of being able to have more centralized support or existing programs for things like asset lifecycle management and those whole scale programs, so that businesses can really focus on what they do best, whether that's pharmaceutical, whether that's airports, whether that is factories. They can focus on their actual bread and butter, in some cases actual bread and butter, and we can maintain the building envelope, the comforts, the other stuff of that nature that's not core to the product or core to the business model.
Now, I feel like I have to ask, just given some of your background, did you enjoy taking chocolate home better or drugs home better? Like, given that you've done Merck and Mars,
very
which
clear.
Is the better,
do not take any drugs home. All the drugs stay here. I don't touch the drugs. When I was in Mars, I worked for a couple different divisions, including rice and chocolate. I think honestly, the rice taking home really cut down my grocery bills. The candy bringing home was really more of a friendship and family maker. Because you always had. I've been gone for many years, and I just ran out of my supply.
Wow, that's impressive. So looking at you talked about some of the expertise or innovation. What about tools that you're using? And for this question, I'd love you to answer both tools you use that are indispensable, and then also things that you would suggest maybe a company that's not, that's maybe either smaller. What are some of the things that you would recommend they at least check out?
Yeah. Well, in terms of indispensable tools, I think that the harsh reality is that the world still runs on Excel. Whether you have existing systems or like such as SAP, Maximo, Hexagon, there's so many different CMMSs out there. A lot of them barely differentiate. If you're going to do any meaningful heavy lifting, cleaning, all that work is being done either in by analysts or engineers outside of those systems in Excel, with Excel tools, workflows, some means of connecting your different systems together. So a lot of offices, large corporations have things like SharePoint or the Microsoft service, or God forbid you're in Google, where there's not a lot of like software connectors that are like off the shelf, or that you can search in forums. Like those connectors to other tools that honestly do a better job at its intended function than a one-size-fits-all solution. Those interconnectors are what I find invaluable. And even if we bring up things like, let's say you
so
have,
that data can be shared, basically, you're saying,
so that
that I can get from this system to that system pretty easily.
Pass the information on. That type of data integrity is what I've been finding indispensable, especially as I've been to a lot of either multi-generational or at least 50-year plus facilities, both factories, offices, labs, and the need to not just to do the basics of getting a solid, accurate asset list, getting a solid actual parts list, documenting. If you're documenting root cause analysis, I think it's a great example where, you can't do everything in root cause analysis in SAP. I mean, you can, there's workarounds, but that's not the best tool for it. You need something that helps the people, especially the technicians and maintenance supervisors and maintenance engineers that are really doing day-to-day, they're doing wrench turning, they're going to meetings. They need help managing all those different systems.
Right.
But like, in terms of,
go ahead. No, I didn't want to cut you off.
No, it's like, but that leads into sort of the new innovations. Like there's tons of exciting things. Like I love the IoT booms that we're seeing, where like how do you get power sources to IoT? Like there's things like CBEC cells for steam trap monitoring. There's Spot. I mean, my short-term goal is to get a hold of the Boston Dynamic dog, that Spot that walks around. You can slap an IR camera on it, ultrasonic or acoustic imager, go around, do PM routes. Like that's what gets me out of bed in the reliability space.
So what's your prediction on how soon we'll see something like Spot be actually operationalized in a meaningful way at scale?
I think we have several examples because Boston Dynamics has been working with some companies directly in terms of both their development team as well as their sales aftermarket add-ons. You are seeing practical applications where industrial, like spread out industrial routes, for instance, could be managed by an autonomous drone. But the caution is, as with any type of automation or robotics, you're not replacing a maintenance program with a robot. Even if you have a robot, you need maintenance for the robot. Having that infrastructure to make sure that those fancy tools that you use don't become another program to manage, that is the maturity point that I would be looking for, both as a user as well as a leader or an advisor talking to a company whether or not to invest in something like this.
The other tool that, of course, is getting a lot of hype right now is AI. What is your thought on when we'll see, and you might already be seeing this, but like meaningful day-to-day AI helping in the reliability engineering world? When do you think that will happen?
Yeah, well, I'm already working with several internal teams on what are the applications of AI. Obviously, especially when you deal with multiple sites across the globe, you have a lot of data to play with, and where there are large sets of data, you hear people talking about big data. That's where some of those opportunities to use AI can shine. Now, there's twofold. One is going to be analytics, and the other is going to be day-to-day use, I would say. So under the day-to-day use, you would have things like developing or analyzing maintenance plans could be something that a language learning model could currently conceivably do, or at least do a sort of a large scale analysis, whereas something like a straight data warehouse driven Power BI or Tableau dashboard couldn't tell you, because it's not necessarily interpreting the language being used in, say, like maybe you have a comment field in your work order system.
Right.
Language learning model could be great at interpreting many disjointed uh, comment sections to come up with something better than a word cloud to analyze, let's say, fault analysis. Maybe you don't have failure codes in your system. Maybe AI could be used in the short term for that. Or maybe it could just be streamlining automation, like I said earlier, to integrate. I have tool here, tool here, tool here. I use AI and in terms of language learning models to automate handovers. That's where I see the immediate term of AI being used, and I've played around with it, try to get local language learning models installed on some personal database to see if it can like mimic my writing style. Like you can do a lot when you have a strong foundation of maintenance program. I think you have good work order quality, you have good asset lists, you have a solid understanding and populated PMs. When you have those foundations, trained technicians that have experience with precision maintenance, good communication with operations, all those things kind of need to be either in place or have a foundation in order for AI to be that force multiplier. Otherwise, 2 times 0 is still 0.
Well, and I'm glad to hear. I mean, I know our company, we're spending a decent bit of time experimenting with how AI can be an additive to what we're already doing. So it's encouraging to hear that you're doing the same. Obviously, AI is really powerful when you have trained models or sets of data, and I think as people recognize what they can get out of one of those systems, I think the data going in will likely get better, because it's that any piece of data in there can be analyzed and leveraged. Yeah. So
chicken or the egg type of thing.
It's great. Well, any last kind of, again, just on a practical level, tools that you would say, whether for root cause or for reliability, that would be useful for somebody to check out? You've given a number of things, but is there anything you just like to kind of, again, connect with our audience and just say, hey, here's something when you're kind of thinking about digital, when you're thinking about moving to using digital tools, here's something that is maybe low-hanging fruit that you can pick up and start using, and it can really be a add-on to your, make your life easier.
Sure. Honestly, I think one thing, especially when you have a more complex workflow, I've looked at and used a lot of different, let's call it CMMS enhancers. Whether that is, I think Prometheus Group is one that comes off the top of my head, where they have a lot of add-ons on top. They use CMMSs like SAP as a database, but you can actually enforce a lot of your planning and scheduling and backlog management, or even day-to-day reactive things in a more dynamic, responsive solution. Even though there's not, it's an indirect cost, shall we say? Like you can't just say, oh, well, if you improve planning and scheduling by this much, or at least I haven't figured out a good way of building the business case. The impact you see both on the technician, the supervisors, the planners, the schedulers, the requesters, and then all the managers, everyone that is impacted by the ability and the dynamic nature of maintenance priorities. Having a good scheduling tool is a world of difference in the just the acceptance of reliability as a culture, but also in enforcing the confidence that you're on top of your maintenance plan and strategies. Even if something goes wrong, there's that visibility, there's that transparency. That's honestly what I think is a maintenance organization of really any size should have. strong
Yeah,
scheduling.
yeah, that's fantastic. Well, thank you for that. I mean, I think that's always helpful when somebody can come away from this podcast with that one idea and say, hey, is this something that you're already doing? Well, I just want to thank you, Henry, for your time. Again, this is Henry Chiang with Sodexo. We really appreciate you spending the time with us and giving insights. And I'm sure our listeners will be, really helped by this. So we appreciate your time. And again, to all those who did listen, we appreciate you paying attention. Again, this podcast is really for helping reliability engineers learn from other reliability engineers about what they're doing, what they can do to be more successful in their work, what applications they can bring to bear, and how they can do things better. Again, if you are looking for root cause analysis, training, or resources, I encourage you to check out our company, reliability.com. We do have a software platform called EasyRCA, which we hope is a great replacement for Excel if you're still using Excel to do your RCAs. But we'd encourage you to check that out. But overall, we hope you've just been encouraged and learned from this. Again, we just want to thank Henry for his time, and let's keep pressing on and making the world a more reliable place. Thank you all for joining us today. Thanks.
Thank you.